in progress?
Recording is on.
Okay, so we can start officially. Guys, thank you so much for coming. This meeting is kind of continuation of our meeting with Michael last week, where we discussed his social media that aims to bring some more change. And when we were digging, what is that why he's doing it, he mentioned this economical inclusion. And so maybe just to give everyone this background, Michael, could you introduce a bit your project, where it comes from?
Yeah, for sure. Long story short, I built a social media / social collaboration platform for creating systemic change or social change of a greater level. And the reason that I did that is because, from my personal experience, it's really difficult for people to decide that they want to change something in the world, like a major facet, and then actually do it. And so I think that that's a really important part of what society should be and what democracy should be. So I made Communivate, I made the platform, and I made it up until this point so that it's as accessible to people as possible, and such that people are able to more effectively network, collaborate, and take direct action in creating change. So in terms of the economic inclusion, I guess, theme or target, I think that's actually something that Gary mentioned earlier in our last meeting. And it was kind of when we were deciding where the main focus of Communivate would be, because I personally have two main focuses with Communivate. And the first one would be just kind of making change at a social level so that people can live and work fairly, which I guess is essentially economic inclusion. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is targeting climate change and environmental issues. So in order to kind of refine the focus of that, the suggestion was to kind of decide which one is more important to me and which one do I want to make the focal point of the application. And that's kind of where we left off in our last meeting.
Yes, thank you so much for this introduction. And since usually we are kind of dropping also to 5D, how the world will look like, this meeting will be rather hear what we could do right now in order to apply these changes that Michael is mentioning. But I guess we should start from the very beginning, like how we actually understand this economic inclusion, because it has so many different layers when we think about it globally, and how to make these chances actually more equal for the whole globe.
What I'm hearing Michael say, like if I was going to sum it up in a word, is the word sovereignty. If we take the word sovereignty as reign is something a king does over its kingdom, where you can exclude where the king is the exception from what the kingdom experiences. They get to accept themselves. So we're taking over our own reign of our own kingdom. Something like that, right?
Yeah, almost like personal sovereignty.
Ooh, personal sovereignty.
Or collective sovereignty might even be a better word.
Collective sovereignty. So how do we get to collective sovereignty? I think where you started, we got to take our own sovereignty.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? And there are probably many aspects to sovereignty. Like it's not just money, for example, or Bitcoin or whatever that looks like. And there's probably many aspects to sovereignty. And maybe somebody else here would like to share a little bit about sovereignty.
So it's like right from the very beginning, again, our conversation have shifted to again self-sovereignty, and again, when it comes to, like, again, I like to share. So even why human beings, why we are so stressed? We are not stressed because our spouse is not behaving the way we want him to be, or our relations, anything is not, or like boss is not behaving how we want them to be. Even nowadays, your pets, they don't behave how you want them to be. Look at dogs and cats, they have their own business. But we human beings are more stressed because we are not the way how we want us to be. That's our major discretion. When this comes to my mind when Neil mentions about self sovereignty. So from here it will start again. You guys can add.
Everything starts within. We get there faster and faster, and then
Awesome.
and then we drop the conversation like we got there.
Yes.
No.
Right now the world is exactly the chaos is like, again, the top notch, the top 1% or 5% is controlling at least 90 to 95% of the wealth, and the rest 90 to 95% of the population is having on just 5 to 8% of the wealth. Now, even in last quarter, when we are talking about recessions, when the stock markets are crashing, real estates are high, like everything is, inflation is at the max, the fuel prices are gaining to 51% in US, the top 1% made 6.5 trillion. They added 6.5 trillion to their bank accounts, while the rest of the world is suffering. So that is the
Gary's
funniest
laughing.
part.
Look at Gary's face. Gary, we want to hear you laugh, man.
But yeah, please bring
That's your
the
medicine.
vibrations here.
Yeah, it's the irony, right? It's like saying, yeah, let's save the world. And then we like start pumping money into the system. Yeah, we save all the rich folks. Thank you very much.
We need to change the system. We need to change this monetary system. That's
Yes.
clear. Cut
Yeah.
it out.
I think we should get it a little bit more like tight, right? Because if we go too wide, we're not bringing anything. So I'm suggesting, why don't maybe we can apply the integral model that I think Gary once was talking about, the different stages of leadership, for instance, or CEOs or things like that.
Yeah.
So here, that is an internal aspect of what it means, sovereignty or economic inclusion. There is that internal, there has an external aspect, how we live. It has the we aspect, as everybody, and it has a system. Right? It is, we can look at the four lenses in a way to get a little bit tighter in order to make changes, because otherwise we talk and talk and talk and there's no action.
Beautiful.
Gary a little bit was bringing that also in this his latest post, right? Like, we can talk, but there's no change. So how can we address this with no fear?
So actually, like, the way I would see it is almost like there's actually a few aspects to like economic inclusiveness, right? Look at the parameters again. It's always back to the parameters, right? To actually enable, like, I would like to see sovereignty as like individual, like economic inclusiveness as the autonomy to like utilize your most precious resource the way you want it, which is your time and attention. All right. And to have like autonomy and control over your time and attention, then the 3 to 4 parameters needs to be there, right? Access to food, access to shelter, and then access to like energy, and then like also access to your own attention, isn't it? And then right now it's like when you kind of go
What was
into
the last one? Can you repeat the last one? Access
to your own
energy,
attention,
shelter.
food.
Good.
Oh, you
And
guys need to eat.
yeah, and then attention or spirit. Because
Attention, spirit.
is no different
Chi?
from attention. Your chi, yes, that's what it is.
Chi.
Your
Okay.
chi.
Time,
Because
energy, attention.
Yeah, your own energy, right? Because now when you go join a company, you're in essence like exchanging your chi for like some
Really?
resources to satisfy the 3 parameters, isn't it? Yeah, it's like all your attention, all
Whoa.
your force is being exchanged for like some paper, pieces of paper to like, so that you can like kind of like fulfill the other 3 parameters.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what really got me interested in the idea of like DAOs, and then like the whole idea of like how to implement a holacracy using DAOs, and then like how to what was that? Yeah, the tail organization. That like after I kind of like read through it, it's like, okay, that makes like total sense, right? Because like then it's like more natural in that regard. It's like it's organic, it's evolving. The organization is not really like a top-down control anymore. So it's kind of like we are trying to move away from the legacy of like the Industrial Revolution. That's what we are trying to do right now. Mm-hmm.
So how?
So actually, like in that, so the co-op model is like really interesting when you like think about it. Like Michael, the co-op that you're like trying to build, and like in essence, when you like look at True Side DAO, the economic structure is like a co-op. People exchange their time and attention for like furthering some initiative, and eventually like that those initiatives that works out like put out some resources into the community, and then the resources get shared out to the community to like fulfill the 3 parameters. That's at least like how I'm saying, like how I'm seeing it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that the co-op is a really great way to kind of to do that tangibly. It's hard because I want to do so many things, and just like I want there to be like one big solution that we can all just like push towards, and there sort of is, you know, in certain ways, like but not really, not for everything, because life is complicated. So here I am, kind of doing something with that co-op, right, and pushing towards some kind of I guess economic inclusivity in my kind of working life, as well as working on Communivate, where I can kind of just test the waters in terms of what people are willing to do as a society, I guess, or as a community of people on that application. Sorry if I'm not making a lot of sense. I'm pretty tired still.
Yolanda, are we doing what you suggested? Do we create a tighter container here, or does it need to get tighter?
I think it is good. I think I love the idea of including spirit. How can we look at food, energy, shelter, and spirit through those lenses, right? The lenses of the interior in terms of how does it affect us internally. How the I, let's say it is the I, the internal I call it I, the external I call it the you, right? We have a we, and we also have a system. So I don't know if the biggest problem we have is in the system, but I don't think, I think we need to be clear in what it means economic inclusion personally first, right? And how that economic inclusion touches upon food, energy, shelter, and spirit. I think that would be a good point to start, because I don't know how sovereign we are, honestly, today.
So
I don't know.
Can we agree that food, shelter, energy, and chi, it all comes down to how we're circulating our energy, what we're paying attention to, and what we pay attention to, we enliven.
Okay.
Can you guys agree with that premise?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how it happens. Like the more focused we are on anything, the more of that we generate. Be it anything. Even if somebody is focusing on the negative happening in the life, the person will be in the vicious circle of creating more of those instances. So that's definitely there. And now again, we have to shift our focus on these mentioned points of energy, food, and spirit. So the chi, and how to uplift it while working towards the Web3, towards the tech, and how to like keep that in mind when we are working for next technology. That's the question.
And we have abundance of all of it. It's just about this
Yes,
distribution of it,
exactly,
or illusion that we don't have enough.
Actually, it's the system, and we are actually the part of the system.
And the system that puts us in an illusion, I think.
Yes,
through different
every
These
year.
agreements that we
The
think that we are
agreements of the
locked.
system that
Yeah.
we agreed to somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing Michael express right now through, you have another job in the world, right? And you're tired right now. And so there's other agreements that you have that you're in dance with. And you have this new focus of energy. I don't know how new it is for you, but I'm just going to call it new, that you want to circulate more energy to, but you have these other agreements that you're circulating energy to. And so how do we end the old agreements that we're no longer in agreement with, and then agree to a higher octave, kind of like on a piano, there's like a lower octave keys and then there's a higher octave keys. We want to take those agreements that are in the lower octave and raise them up to the higher octave.
Well,
Or maybe it's just our perception that we agreed on something
Neil, again, this
while
drill
we
down.
are not.
Yeah. Again, this drills down to the needs, like the needs that our previous, what the term you used, uh,
Agreements.
agreements. Yeah, whatever the previous agreements are needs that they are fulfilling. When those new agreements are fulfilling that need, so then only then we can leave that, and that's okay. That's good also, because I've seen many people, leaving the job and like to do something for the societies, for the humanity, and but in after 6 months they are like miserable, more miserable than they were in the job. Then they're looking for a new job. So that's not the right way to do, and I don't suggest that, because I've seen many tech people in India. When the startup culture came, every tech, sitting in a very good position, will leave the job. A couple of friends will start a new company, do a startup, and like that, and after 6 to 8 months they're making themselves more
So
miserable. So
Tushar,
yeah.
I heard you say needs. So I have an understanding or an overstanding of needs that I'd like to introduce here.
Okay.
I believe our needs are simple. Okay. I believe we need water. I believe, because if without it, we're going to leave this experience, right? I believe we need air. Probably I should have put air first,
No,
but I won't shit on me if you don't shit on me.
no, that's a need, even if you believe or not, right?
Okay.
No choice.
Well, let me finish. So, abundance of clean air, abundance of water. Probably clean water is better, right? We need to sleep, because believe it or not, if we don't sleep and connect back, we'll leave the experience too. And we won't be enjoying this experience too much, Michael. You got to get some sleep, brother. Okay. The fourth one is sustenance.
Yes.
We don't need as much food as we probably have thought we needed. We need some sort of sustenance to keep us in this physical experience. We need, I already said sleep, shelter, but it doesn't need to be a house. We just need some sort of shelter that will shield us from like snow and water. And I mean, Gary's rocking it right there. So God bless you, brother. Okay, we need some sort of relationship, although it can be with a plant. It doesn't need to be like your soulmate or your twin flame or any of that stuff, okay? It's just a relationship where you're nurturing something and it's nurturing you. We're in this right now. And finally, and maybe the piece that I think most people are missing when they're looking for like happiness, and this is for thriving on the planet. You're able to thrive if you have these 7 things. The last one is self-expression.
Beautiful.
And it doesn't have to be some big thing where you're like changing the world and changing the system. It can be like rearranging leaves in the corner of the room. If that's your impulse for self-expression right now, then that is a valid form of self-expression. With those 7 things, I believe you can have your sovereignty and your happiness. And so as we have agreements that are out there that we're in dance with that give us other things beyond those 7 needs, we can start to say, actually, I have what I need already. Thank you. Bless you. And start to withdraw from those agreements that are making us tired, are, what else did you say, Michael? Overwhelmed, or I'm
Did I
putting words
say
in your
anything?
mouth now. No, you didn't. But
Okay.
It's your higher self
Uh, uh,
talking to Neil.
uh,
I believe that we also should share something with others or try to help
Mhm.
somehow. Like this is also part of like
yeah. Yeah, Neil, what you
I
just said
what we
is like
feel.
like what you just said is totally fine.
self-expression.
Okay. But the thing with us humans is every human being has her own definition of needs. And we cannot foist on anybody like what we believe in need, right? Everybody like if a person is hungry for 3 days, forget about everything else. His primary need will be stacked up to food, right? Somebody who's totally unloved for the rest of his life, his need primary will be stacked up to the love. And now we for that every human being has to have that level of wisdom as you just possessed, just saying that as a level of awareness to look at
Let's go
like this.
forth. Go forth and share it with your networks today, please.
Yeah, I do that every day. So that is the thing. Needs totally, it's totally individualistic, and totally every human being possess different needs.
Which
Well,
I
I
think is,
disagree. I
Which
well,
disagree. I think every human being needs those 7 things. Is
that
that is
you
that not a
think
fact? That's a fact. You need
that
those
is
7 things.
that is a fact. And like I said, somebody you talk to somebody in Africa, he won't be needing an iPhone. Somebody who has not even heard about an iPhone won't be needing it because that person doesn't know
But
about
an
it.
iPhone's not a need. An iPhone's a want.
Okay, you iPhone is what?
A want.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
smoke. I'm gonna smoke because I'm getting a little bit confused here. That's the feeling I feel of a confusion, a feeling of restlessness. I feel that we are not very center. At least that's how I feel a little bit the energy of the group, because we're talking about big things. How should be? How would it be? Um, but in what way are we really living those personally? I don't know. I still have a job that I had to pay in an apartment. I'm not living to this feeling of full abundance of food, energy, shelter, and spirit, even though I know it is. I think certainly spirit is the only one that it feels for real right now for me. And so how are we really living this? So it's very nice to talk about what is not working and da 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 da. But if we bring it to us, to center, how are we living that? That's for me. Let's start clarifying a little bit us first. How are we going to look at the world if it's not in alignment within us?
That's
Sorry,
beautiful. And I'm
I don't know why. And this morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a little bit like frustrated. I cannot connect, and now I'm listening, and I can. It feels a lot of noise for me, and kind of like we are not grounded for whatever reason. That's how I feel it.
if I might interject here,
beautifully said.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Michael.
yeah. So I think that there are 2 ways that we could possibly focus this, and one thing that Tushar said was that you can't force people to kind of conform to like what you think their needs are, and I think that's an important kind of segue possibly into talking about what we can use to incentivize kind of transitions to more stable economic models, or just kind of doing good in general, social good in general. That's one kind of path we could take here. There's also another way that we could kind of take this is we could kind of think what about the actual tangible solutions that we need to pursue in terms of actually achieving economic inclusiveness. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on those.
So this is what I'm thinking, right? Like Neil, like kind of like define like the seven factor foundations basically for like anything else we can like build on top of it. So maybe like what we should like could like think about is like how do we kind of like solutions to allow people to kind of pursue and fulfill those like 7 like needs, so that they can like literally free up their time and attention and like do whatever they really feel and passionate about for the individual. Those are needs. See, 7 needs, you can't like really do without oxygen, that's for sure. So like those like 7 needs, how do we kind of like fulfill them without you being stuck in a dead-end job? That's like at least like how I'm like seeing it. And then once we can like have like such a system in place, then people are like literally free. It's like, I hate this job, it doesn't like really like resonate with my purpose and meaning, I'm just gonna stop doing it because I don't have to like literally like do it to pay rent, whatever, so, and pursue something like a higher order.
Correct. I would also focus on
Beautiful.
this,
Right.
like how we can sort of provide it to everyone.
Everybody
So we
wants to be-
cut off from this
Yes.
survival fears.
Yes, that's what it is.
Blocking us.
The
May I
survival fear is keeping us in the current status quo. Like what
yes.
Yolanda-
Like in 3D.
Yes, and. So what I heard Yolanda express after I expressed those 7 needs, I saw some, and Yolanda, thank you for expressing. And, yeah, I didn't see you start smoking yet, but feel free to do that.
The truth is, I always
Feel
moving.
free to do that.
I don't put the camera.
That is also a need.
What the hell? You know, the truth. Me, I smoke and I love smoking
Well,
better. You know, so I brought it.
I want you to be you. I want you to be you.
We
So-
love you.
May I just offer for your consideration that all of these things, they start inside. First, we have to feel like what Yolanda said, grounded in that we have those needs taken care of, which I think everybody can agree they have those 7 things probably. I mean, I don't know what your self-expression level is, each of you, but we're all here together, so we're expressing ourselves now. First, it starts with everybody feeling okay with the fact that this is all they need. Because we get confused sometimes that we need much more than that to be satisfied and to thrive. But the fact is we don't.
I think those are basic things that we need to provide for ourselves in order to afterwards move forward,
Yeah, like-
also to others, share it with others. That enables us to be in alignment with ourselves, probably, but not
Yeah.
necessary, actually. And then share, like, bring value, yes, to the community, because I think this is also part of our purpose here. Then I would add this need also on top of this 7, because
And if
it's
you're
not just for
scared
me
that-
being for myself.
Yes. And if you're scared that something's going to leave you now, right? For example, the job or the apartment or whatever the thing is, right? Then you can't really be what you just expressed, Aga, which is bringing value to others. Because your basic needs are not taken care of. How can you, love and fear, they don't fit in the same bucket together. You are either in love or you are fearful. You can't have both in the same moment. Try it right now. Try and be scared and loving at the same time. You can't do it. You have to pick one.
Depends if I put emotions, these negative emotions and fear upon it. So I don't have food for the moment, for instance, but I'm not afraid of it because I know
It will come.
it'll come. So
Because it,
that changes a bit, like my approach to this, like for the
Beautiful.
moment can be empty, but I trust that, I don't know, I will project it in a way.
it's like a wave that comes, that exists for a moment, and then goes. Hunger is a
We
bit
need
like
to
that.
trust.
Probably.
By the way, that's another need, I guess. We need to trust this universe and the process that we will be taken care of.
Well, you don't actually have to trust the universe when you realize that the universe is in you and you are in the universe, because you are just trusting yourself.
I know, but it's just like translation, so it's easier, like, to
You're
approach.
just trusting
you
yourself.
can you can say it so many different ways, and we both know it. It really depends how you want to translate it upon the normal language. But we know we are nothing and we are everything.
Sorry,
Well,
what you said? We are nothing. We are nothing.
We are nothing and we are everything at the same time. Yes.
Oh, yeah. True, true.
Well, all the
So,
projection.
like,
Yes, we can go into this.
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's beautiful how this economic inclusion is, is turned to be a bit of a spiritual topic right now, and
I love it.
it's
yeah,
a
so
wrong
I
word.
love it.
Economics is wrong. The word economics is wrong. Sorry, guys. Economics inclusion. The word economics. I studied economics in university. Economics is a man-made subject with high
Of
complexity
course.
designed
Right,
so that
right.
you don't understand it, so that you agree to things that you have no idea what the consequences are. It's not economic inclusion. We
Exactly.
don't want to be included in economics anymore. That's the point.
We want to transmute this economics into something else, and this different.
Yes.
And everything should start
Yeah.
from our mindset. So again, coming back to ourselves.
Well, I think a big thing
Because
though
we cannot
is
build the technology. Like we start to build some technology with Web3, etc., without the proper mindset. So it's not leading us anywhere. I'm like,
Which
sometimes
is
we are
natural.
disappointed.
You're giving a very good smile, like you have to say something.
Me? Or is it Michael?
Yeah.
Michael was started to say something. Sorry,
Let
Michael. I just
Michael say
wanted to
something.
Oh,
finish.
okay. Yeah, Michael. Please.
yeah. I just wanted to say like I understand where you're coming from, Neil. Like you don't like we do want to move away from the economic system as is, but I think that the point of the economic system or the economic inclusion topic is that we want to make sure that people's needs are met, people's like basic needs are met, such that they can kind of make progress outside of the system and do
We
that.
don't
Because,
control that. I don't
Yeah.
control if your needs are met
Okay.
at
Yeah,
all.
I mean,
I have
Wait,
no.
wait. You are
you kind of
everything.
can though, right? Like that's the
Well,
thing
I
is like
control
we
me.
we need to be able to make it so that it's possible for people to make change, because if they're so burdened by having lack of needs, then they're not able to make change.
Basically.
So where does that come from? Where does what you just said come from?
I don't know, where does it come from?
Awareness.
Right.
Giving
I-
people awareness.
Yeah, I think that awareness
First
is
you have
great.
to have the awareness.
Yeah, awareness is great, but you're not going to really care about how aware you are if you're $2,500,000 in debt, whatever.
Is that
Like
a lot of money?
You want to have some proofs, I suppose.
That's not a lot of money to me. Is that a lot of money to you? $2,500 in debt?
No, I said 2,000, 500,000, whatever.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Debt is an agreement that you have, that you're in dance with, of that old system.
Yeah,
So when you
I think
step into
it's
your
just an
sovereignty,
example, right? Because it's people.
I get it.
It's people feeling repressed, right? And you can't convince them that they're not repressed or that they're. It's hard to do that, and you can do
Exactly.
that with certain people, right? But I think like the big thing really is here, like if we need to kind of take a combined approach, like because it is about awareness, but it's also about having the willpower to take action, and people are not going to have the willpower to take action until things are literally in the ground. For the most part, to like a higher degree, right? Like we want a population shift of at least 10% here. Like we
I
want
agree. Crisis brings huge shift in action. I agree with you.
Yeah. So
Well,
we want like 10% of the population on board with making change, first of all, and actually committing to making change, which is taking action. So that means that people have to be aware of their situation. They have to be able to exist outside of the system for extended durations of time. And then they have to commit to taking action outside of the system.
and I totally agree with Michael. Awareness is important, but then we should take some action towards this change. We know what it's not working properly, and like being conscious about it. Now we make some moves. Like I don't know. For instance, I'm not going to take now some project that I know that has totally different values that I represent myself. For instance, and there are so many different little things that we can choose every day. And moving towards this better world where we change the system, the timeline, let's say that it's actually about we are turning it upside down.
The system is inside of you guys. The system is inside of you. Michael, what you see out there in the world that you want to see the change in, the 10% shift where people take action in a new direction, you got to be that change for you. And then you'll see the shift in the 10% people. That's how it works.
I mean, I've been doing that for 3 years, right? I built my own application from the ground up.
I get
Yes,
that.
and
I
he's
get that. You got to
moving,
go
you know.
deeper. You got to go deeper. You got to go
Yeah.
deeper
That's why
with
I'm here.
yourself. Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm here too.
I believe it's not about pointing fingers at anyone right now, because
There's no
I
fingers
believe
here,
there are
Aga.
all people who are actually active too, every day, and they are trying to move forward. It's not gonna happen from one day to another, Neil, too. It's
I'm simply
fluctuations for the
suggesting.
moment, you know.
I'm simply suggesting that once you have the new realization, we're all here for a realization. There's something available to each one of us inside of this meeting today. That's okay. Our souls brought us here because something is available to each of us, me included. Okay. What I'm suggesting is once you have the realization, the action completely changes. It goes from your mind to your heart and eventually to your guts to the action. And the action
And
will be completely different with the new realization.
yeah, and to add it, that realization should stay with you. You know, it should not just come for a moment and then it's gone when you're acting in the real world. That should stay with you, like till you're on the like whatever the best you're about to do for the world. That should stay with you. You should not lose that in the run when the difficulty hits or whatever challenges come, right?
Consistency in what you are doing, and
Yeah,
with true still feeling it. I'm doing it for the humanity, for instance.
yeah,
Every little thing that it's every day in my life, even if it's towards one little lady that doesn't even have internet. It's like everyday actions.
yes. So like for all of us, we are here because we believe in something different. Like we could be attending any meeting right now, you know, into any tech field, like with a core aim of earning money. But why we are here because we support the fact that actually this change has to be needed, and there has to be some pioneer to do that, and at least we should do our own efforts.
You know, something very clear came to mind after listening to all of you like speak. Here's how I'm like seeing it clearly now. The 7 parameters, and like the past like 2 weeks, right? We've been talking about like what are the different projects that's actually in Web3. All right, we're kind of like trying to like find all the resources. Now, like what Yolanda said, that like makes absolute sense. Still have to pay rent. So here's where it becomes interesting. Can we, as a group, go and find all those like Web3 projects out there that's actually like facilitating people to like be free of the fear of being deprived from one of those 7 basic needs, and like surfacing them, right, to the rest of the community and getting more people to like support those projects? Or if like those projects are missing in a specific vertical, come up with like some projects to fill up that vertical. I think that becomes like very concrete, right? We start directing the attention of the Web3 community to something that like says, hey, we know there's the red pill and the blue pill. Red pill is missing right now, and these are the key like chemical components that need to go into the red pill. Okay, we got like 6 to 7, 5 to 6, but one is like missing. Let's figure out which one we like slot it in, and then voila. If you kind of like really want to like shift 100% full time into Web3, please take this red pill.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yeah, I think that would work.
I would love to find this kind of projects, but I have like one sort of requirement there that also comes from Marina's teachings. That also were something that the place where which Neil introduced to me. So basically, that we don't put a price upon our service.
Yeah.
And we let it come. So it's like kind of donation-based platforms.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we allow it. Okay, so anyone who wants to support me and my shelter, which is the rent I have to pay, you are welcome to do it through this platform. Let's say this structure, but I don't put the price. You can give me $1 if it's the, and I'm super grateful for it.
You can give me $0. You can give me $0 if you don't have any $0, or if you need to pay your rent or whatever it is, and it works. I did a lot of coaching over the last well, in the last 3 years, and I did it donation based sometimes. And it's another vibration. It's a different agreement, Michael.
Yeah.
Like and it feels really good, Michael. Like you have energy. You're excited to like, you show up. You're like, it's just like, man, this is what it's like to be alive right here.
Actually, I love like what Aga just brought up. Like Vipassana, the whole like practice, the whole organization is kind of pretty decentralized. It's spread around the whole world. Is 100% donation based. You're not even allowed to donate until you're finished, like with the 10-day meditation retreat. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is what I find also through the conversation. In my case, and in a month, I don't have, for instance, to pay rent or anything like that. And there's an internal movement in me that I trust. I have a bigger trust in how I am engaging with the world and where it's going to take me. Like I'm still in that heart set. I hate the word mindset. Heart set in terms of practicing this gift economy, right? The economy of giving as a way not only to create community, but it's as a way of trusting. Like I am not a barter thing, right? Like Vipassana meditation retreats, there are 10 days, there are 40, you can do it for free, or you can do it based on donation. But there's a higher movement there, right? And there's an internal movement that is trusting something deeper. And that's what I want to try to convey here. I think still the conversation still very loose, like we are mixing our spirituality in a way with economics, so where is the point where it needs to be born, right? That's for me what is important. And then the rest I trust it will fall into place. But still the conversation is still like very, very noisy, like we are not still grounded in what the movement should be. What the movement, I say internal movement, right? The reasons why I'm doing this. It is not only the world because it needs to change. It obviously needs to change. We all that we are here knows it. We all here, we are discontent how things are working, but that still is part of the system. Trying to change what is external is still part of the same system, encouraging us to change the things with the system. So I think we need to go a little bit deeper in order to even bring through ideas that are not.
Yes.
I don't know. I am just talking. I love
you
this.
Do know. You do know. You do know. You know.
Yes, we all know. I think, yeah, that's crucial part. Of course, everything starts within ourselves. Yet I was really happy to see that, we all want to start with this gift economy too. And it's
not a gift economy. We got to
like...
shift the name. We can't call it economy anymore, guys. Economy is agreeing to the old system. I'm telling you, I studied it for a lot of years.
The ones we are here already know what the meaning that we are giving to economy. So we can change the actually, but now it's working. It's really working right now.
It's just a name, and I think everyone this way understands it. I don't think we have to really like, if you find a better name, go ahead. Let's shift it.
Well, we started. We had all kinds of words.
Need to introduce it to others. So then, okay, whatever. You just go ahead, Neil.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm just bringing your attention to what I'm present to. Is that the word economy has a lot of intention, a lot of thoughts about it, a lot of agreements in it that we want to transcend.
Yeah.
And so as you create something inside of the structure of the old, like what Yolanda just said, you're still playing in the old. I don't care if you put the word gift in front of it or not.
Okay, I agree, but then I think we all don't have enough knowledge yet about the language. Myself, I'm just digging into this topic, and I don't want to really shift it like so much immediately. I think that it would be great to have Indy here. He studied it for many years, and he could actually bring us more knowledge about it if we want to be super correct.
We don't need to do
Otherwise,
anything. I'm just
okay.
We don't need to do anything. I'm not saying we need to do anything. I'm just simply saying that we want new agreements. Everybody here is asking for a new, higher agreement, and we're not going to find that in the old. We got to go to somewhere new. That's all.
Yeah, I just don't want to go too much in different directions right now and just focus on the topic that we had here.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
I think we should get back. We should get back with Gary was saying in this last conversation. You know, if we focus on food, we focus on energy, we focus on shelter and the spirit. There is the base, right? And so then, in what ways? For instance, going to a vipassana meditation, you get out of there transformed. Right, you get out of and then probably that gives a different meaning to food and energy and shelter as we consider right now. So I still believe that the shift has to be within first. To have real grounding in that scarcity that we live in the world is created, and we know that. Okay. So how are we going to transform that? Maybe with just this group, starting with this group and see what is working, what is not working, what is, so then in a way, I think it's very interesting, the conversation today, because it gives us information, right? It gives us information in terms of, it's not as clear as we think it was. It is not as easy as we think it is. You know, that is very important. I really, really value this feeling of feeling ungrounded, feeling of feeling a little bit combative, a feeling of I think that is really.
I'm gonna tickle you.
Because I think we need to see that in presence, that as a fact. And how are we going to get out of this entanglement? How are we going to untangle all of these? Because this is part important of the shift that we want to make.
That's the transformation we're all going through right now, isn't it? It's like I think growing up, like it is like going through like those like education systems. What we've always been trained with is like we are presented with a problem, we are supposed to come up with the solution. But now what's actually like the hard part is like we have to like spend time to define what the problem is, isn't it? And like this particular session that we're like going through, we are like actively trying to figure out what is the problem. I mean, like one word, economy, that term that we use, it's just a trigger, right, to get us to all think, what is the actual problem? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then like I think like part of like just like 1 hour like that back and forth, like trying to kind of like all the blind men trying to figure out what the elephant is, kind of like came up with 7 parameters, basic needs. This no one can debate against, basic needs. So I would like see it as like, okay, basic needs. If we can like fulfill like this basic needs without like the need for any form of economic transaction, whatever, so then in essence we have already like defined like a very well nice to take like red pill that everyone who wants to kind of like drop out of the existing system could, because now the path towards like liberation, emancipation is there before you. Just take it, and then then you're free to like pursue your higher purpose, whatever it might be, to bring out your gift to the whole like world, the whole society, because now you're no longer tied back by fear.
Yeah.
And
true.
then in that regard, frame like that, then like I would say like if we believe that this problem that we kind of like define is the actual problem we need to be solving, just like creating the red pill that that kind of like suffices the 7 needs, then like the immediate next steps would be to kind of like go out and like source for all those projects. that satisfy one of these basic needs in one way or the other, in such a way that no money is actually like you need to like pay for. It's just 100% donation based. Or if the don't exist, after we go through like a moment of like a period of like searching, then maybe it's like time to kind of like start like really focusing on those individual verticals. It's like, okay, this vertical is missing this kind of project. Can we like define a project that makes sense that people in the community will support? And then like go through the process of like kind of creating that basic to like liberate like the whole humanity.
Yes.
So what
yes,
could that look
totally.
like? Go ahead, Tusha. I was just going to ask, what could that look like, Gary?
Yeah. Tusha,
Yeah,
you
please,
wanted
Gary.
to say
Gary.
something?
No,
All
I
right.
just wanted to
Actually,
add what you just. Okay.
go
Yeah,
for it. Go for
I
it.
just wanted to add what you just said. Like, definitely, we should find out all those projects in Web3 which are working in that direction, because as per the collective consciousness, if we are thinking something, then definitely there would be others thinking the same way. Like, we won't be
Yes.
the only one. So let's
Yeah. Yeah.
find out all those projects and club them up and look what we can do better for the society, better for the community
Yes.
into the Web3 space. And like you
Yeah.
said, like, again, presenting that red pill and the green blue pill to everybody, and like that would be great. So please carry on.
Yes. So it's kind of like what I'm kind of like already actively trying to do. Like I was like, do I really need to pay rent? All right, this is kind of like a prototype, right? It might not like be the final solution that everyone like to adopt. You don't want like the whole population all living in a car. Where do I get energy? I'm kind of using solar. I've been using solar for the past like 2.5 years. Seems to be working. It's like, how do we actually promote like the adoption of more solar in this in society? That's like one thing to look at. Shelter, right? I came across a few projects that was like really interesting. In terms of like the one that I came across when I was in Minnesota, it's like part of the farmer is like part of the Common Land Access like Alliance. So you can actually like go drive up to like any one of those like farms. There's like part of that, and just literally set up a camp if you want. It's like, is there like such a way? Is this such a kind of project for the urban space? Because I know not everybody like likes camping. Okay. And then like in terms of like say, I would say food, right? Food is interesting because like some people like to go shop in Walmart, Safeway, blah. It's like organic stuff that's important. Well, it's like for me, it's like if you notice, like I kind of like pick half my food from the land. It's kind of like around me because I spend a lot of time studying the land. Would that be like something that's like people would actually feel inclined towards, or probably not? Or like what like Abhinav is like trying to like start up right now in India, taking some of the land that like his parents like don't really care about and tokenizing it and say, if you own one of these NFTs, you have the right for some of the yield from this land. These are like interesting projects, that I kind of fulfill like one of the 7 different verticals. This is kind of like at least how I'm like seeing it.
Is everybody else like in agreement with the idea of sourcing out projects that satisfy human needs so that they can have sort of a landing space inside of this new paradigm that we're in agreement with?
Yeah.
Michael,
I'm curious what we are going to find out. Because to be honest, I didn't find too many that would, or I don't even recall one that would be in alignment with these values, but I'm curious. Maybe we'll dig deeper and find it.
Yeah.
Then also, like thinking about this social media that would connect people around this kind of projects, where you could find others that are also like they also want to start somewhere, because it comes like this is the centralization that I understand here. It should like actually go back to the local and to building this local physical communities around some farms, providing these shelters, etc., and supporting them. So then this kind of social media that Michael is doing, or like where you could, I don't know, post, hey guys, I want to start a new community here and there. I have some ground, and who's joining me? At least how I would see it. But maybe Michael, you can tell me more like how you would see posting on Communivate.
Yeah.
what it would be about.
So the way that it's currently designed, posts are definitely a large part of reaching out to people. But I mean, there's ways to find people based on their interests, and like I think Tushar might have mentioned it, but there's tags associated with people, but there could always be more tags. There could always be more identifiers. Just basically defining what people's interests are and what their skill sets are, and you can search people by those interests, by those tags, and you can reach out that way. And there's also like team space integration, so you can work together with specified groups that have a public facing face, I guess. So you can interact with those like public facing teams as a just a general user as well. It's pretty much, it doesn't go too far outside the bounds of like connecting with people just by using the app casually than it would than any other social platform. But that's because the idea is to have a giant platform where you have tons of people on it that are already geared towards creating change. So in like, for example, Facebook, like probably like 95% of your friends aren't really interested in making a positive social impact. But on the Communicate application, the idea would be to have pretty much everyone be interested in actually taking action to do that. So you wouldn't need such rigorous kind of outreach tools to connect with people of different interests and whatever else.
Beautiful.
The goal wouldn't be then to show off, but to actually connect the right people to make an action.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So actually, based on what you just said, right? When I was like kind of like running like growth for like Emoto, which is like a really large like social network, we were
Sorry,
using
Gary, can
text
you
as well. And
the microphone, because sometimes I.
all right. So when I was in Emoto, like running like the social networks as part of growth, we use tags as well. And like here's why it becomes interesting, right? If we're gonna use like Communicate for that, then I would propose to have like 7 like recommended tags. So if you're gonna like create like a new project on the platform, or you're gonna like become a community member of that platform, you like really need to at least like select one of at least like one of the 3 like highly recommended tags to say what you're like really about. And then like once you have that, and at the same time we should also like allow the user to say, hey, which location I'm like based in, because that would actually like let me like better get in touch with the local project that I'm like really feeling strongly about. Then it becomes like super aligned and focused, right? We go out, we source for projects that's aligned with one of the 7 verticals, and then like those projects will like be tied to maybe like specific location. And then we find like more people to come and say, hey, find like more of these projects, so that like, you know, the red pill becomes more comprehensive regardless of where you are in the world. If you want to take the red pill, you can come here. Okay, so you need food. This is the project for food. This is the project for shelter. This is the project for oxygen, and this is the project for blah, right? 7. And then with that, you have like kind of like already compiled your own like red pill, and then you take that, you're liberated. Now you can like drop off the old system and just be free to pursue a higher purpose and calling. I think this becomes like super focused.
However, I feel like this platform is rather for people who already taken the red pill and they want to change.
Yeah, it's like,
and then another part is like how to make more people aware of it, and so they join this kind of movement.
Well, yeah, I think that honestly,
before.
From my experience with like kind of trying with outreach and marketing, whatever, it is limited experience. But from what I've kind of gleaned off of this is that people have a hard time connecting with something that's so abstract. Even reducing it to kind of like maybe a 7 basic needs or whatever else kind of needs that you have, like that's too abstract for most people. And it's hard to get people on board with that because they have to put whatever minor effort in to already join it. And that's
there would need to be a hook.
Well, yeah, you need to hook people, and that's kind of what I was hoping this meeting could be like focused on today, is like what can we do to hook people, because we have even people who are already kind of like awake and aware of these issues, like they need hooks too. Like we have so many people who want to do things, but they don't want to do them enough that they're willing to put that effort in from that social repression, from whatever might be hindering them. And we need to kind of brainstorm what exactly we can hook people into like doing things with, because there's initiatives not exactly like mine, not exactly like yours, but there are initiatives everywhere where people are trying to get people on board with what they're doing. They're trying to have the market. They're trying to have everyone work on what they're doing and contribute to what they're doing. And they're not really focused on anything else, but that's kind of what their focus is. And it's obviously not working well enough, which is why another thing like that I've tried working on with Communicate is reaching out to organizations too. And getting organizations on board with working together collaboratively through a singular platform. And because we have all these people that are so focused on doing their thing that they forget that they could use the help, they could use alternative resources. And so I really just want to kind of come up with an idea of like, what can we do to either get average people, like people who want to make change or do something with their lives that's important to the social structure, to society, and hook those people, or kind of hook organizations so that we can coordinate between organizations and help them work together to create like a kind of joint change. Because I think that's where
Yeah.
our success
I'm
lies.
happy you said it.
Yeah,
I'm
Michael.
happy you
Like
bring it.
on that, or like this week, whenever you're free, you can connect with me, and like we can jot down many of the hooks. Like what exactly the people like we can bring in some points, because I have years of experience in the same domain for the telecom sector, like
Right.
where we are totally where I was totally concentrating on the user engagement, and like have them to stay on the platform for the maximum time, so like we can have a meeting on it, and like we can like move further from it. And like after listening to all of you guys, there was another thought that popped in my mind, and that was my wish to do from quite a while. I'm just sharing this thought so that every one of you can keep it in the mind, and you never know like when it can surface. But I know eventually it can happen millions of people, and that factor is food wastage every year. As per some statistics, like some states, like somewhere around 950 million of food goes waste every year. Some stats says 1.4 billion of of metric ton of food, like somewhere around that goes waste. What from all our app that we are building, we can bring that awareness up to it. Right now the problem is not hunger, right? There is enough food to sustain everybody, every individual on the planet, but still, if you look at the stats, a percentage of people are sleeping hungry, and a very good amount of percentage of food is going waste. So what we can do to bridge this gap, and I'm just sharing this thought open-endedly, and so that whenever next conversations or through that app, so whatever we are doing, we can actually do something for this issue.
Speaking of that, I ever came across like this restaurant in Singapore. It's super fascinating. It's
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by like a Hindu temple. You go in, you eat whatever you want. Everything's like vegetarian, and then after
Yeah,
that, like when by the time you pay whatever you want. If you don't want to pay, you have no money. It's okay. Just like help yourself. Just eat.
yeah,
And like the restaurant, after so many years, is still sustaining itself.
yes.
I think like
Like
this
in
kind of
India, there are, yeah, please. Like there are many institutions running on this platform, like pay as you want, and they are doing quite good. They
Actually,
are
they are
doing quite
doing
good.
better than the price that they were setting, and actually they get
Yeah,
more from
yes,
applying
yeah,
this structure. And I think it's because it's the hard structure of giving.
yeah,
Also, imagine all the restaurants that are actually giving like a lot of food. You feel like welcome there, like at home, and you were giving like this big plate. You come back there because you feel like it was given from the heart.
yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. But I understand what Michael is saying. Like people are a bit skeptical. I hear it quite often. How to change all of it? They might be aware, or not yet fully, or in some places. But what I can do, it's like this topic constantly. But if we show this little steps that you can already take. And through this example, showing them, look, it's coming back because you were giving from the heart too. That's the best. I think we learn the best through our own example. So letting them experiencing it. So like the platforms, I suppose, that Michael just shared, they are donation based too, correct? I don't have too much time to scroll them, but
so I just want to go through them real quick. I just sent them in case people want to browse them. Basically, ShareBay. I know you don't like the word, Neil, but it's basically a gift economy online. It's just it's a friend of a friend's platform, and it seems to be doing pretty well. I think it has like 2,700 registered members, and it's just people offer what services or products they can, all for free, and people take what they need basically from the platform. Magnova is a similar platform to mine. I don't know if you've looked into it, Aga, or not, but it was also on the Moneyless Society site. The owner of the space, Lavra, does a lot of similar work that I do, just more focused on the organization factor, like organizing how we can address issues. And Common Planet is I haven't actually looked at the website. I just I talked with the writer of the book, and we're connected in a few spaces. But basically, who wrote it, Ramsey, suggests kind of the way that we might transition away from current monetary systems through a non-circulatory currency called flow currency. And what this does is it eliminates a lot of the kind of accumulation of wealth, or unfair accumulation of wealth, and you earn wealth explicitly for your own spending. And it could be implemented through means of a DAO or something like that. So I just thought I'd share those links. You could look into it if they're interested.
Thank you so much. I love to. Yeah, that's the kind of research I wanted to do more.
So what I would say also is that there is a fact that there are people who are internally developed more than others, right? I think what is important is that 10% you were talking about at the beginning, Michael, how to get focus in the people that already have a hard set in this regard, how to make that stronger, to create a center of gravity that is stronger, because we all start at stage one, right? We all start like at stage one, and we are evolving in our life internally to include other people, and we're going from ethnocentric to world-centric to cosmic-centric, right? That is a process of development, internal development. So in order to take that red pill, you need to be at stage. We cannot focus in awakening, in a way, all these people, because they have a process that it will be faster if we create that center of gravity faster. I mean, it's solid, so
yeah, I totally agree. I think that we need to start on kind of focusing on the people who are already involved and strengthening kind of their ability to make change. I totally agree with that, because like that's how it works, right? Like you do need strong leaders. It is all about leadership, and you need to have people who can lead, follow their own path, and then others will follow as well, right?
I think like what I'm observing.
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
In the space is that if you are using like the 7 like verticals as the kind of like a framework, not everyone, most kind of like don't really have like all 7 kind of like already transited like to the Web3 space. When you like think about this, it's like if there's like, hey, okay, you came to join like this social network, great, perfect. Okay, so these are the 4 you have already sorted out. Okay, then we know that the other 3 is like not sorted out yet. Then in that regard, it kind of helps them like become super focused. Like, okay, how do I kind of like sort out the other like 3 that's like remaining, so that I can like really have like a complete red pill? That's the hope, you see. For that, it's like, okay, now it's like immediately relevant for me. I see the promised land. I'm like 4 steps towards the promised land, I'm missing the 3 steps. So I come, okay, these are the final 3 steps, and it's concrete. It's in my neighborhood. I can engage with it immediately and like finally have like a complete red pill.
Yeah.
That makes me super motivated. So the steps are clear. The 7 steps to liberation, to emancipation.
Mhm.
So like it's for us then, it's like, okay, now we kind of like arrive at the next like on the other side. Let's try to expand this ecosystem even more. Okay, maybe like Toronto has like 4 of this, like 4 of the 7 facilities that's required, like available. Can we like source for 3 more and actually build those out? And then like for each city or each territory, it's like then like more and more people like start saying, hey, why is my neighbor like kind of like totally drop off like the system? Then they start becoming curious, right? They start having this conversation. It's like, oh, I took the red pill. So, oh, what is the red pill? Then the neighbor can just like, go to this side. No, it's like just key in like what you're missing, like to actually have the complete red pill and like what your location is. It's like, oh, great. Now it becomes actionable, And then there's like a hook. The hook just hooks itself in because the person really sees the promised land.
Yeah, but it's still
Promise.
very to see the promised land. You have like if we put the matrix as a way as a framework to talk about this, right? Neo had the right questions. Neo had the right experience in order to even contemplate to go to the red pill. That's what I'm talking about. Like there is a necessary development in order to reach that. The stronger center of gravity, the stronger is the resistance. Just to put an example, matrix. It is easier, right? Because you kind of like start bringing awareness, bringing motivation, proposing, inviting other ways of looking at, but you need to be ready to see that for your next step, or at least to have, whether it's confusion, whether it's resistance, whether it's whatever it is, using all of that as a way of inspiring.
Yes.
And then
So
can be like, I'm ready for this adventure. Let me see what is going on here, right?
Actually, this particular phenomenon has been like wrote about a lot. It's like it's under the label technology diffusion. So in any population, right, there's like really 4 groups of people. You have like the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. Laggards, forget about them. Just always be laggards. So I think like right now what we really need to do is like apart from finding the projects. So the projects will be like the innovators, right? And then we have to like find the early adopters. It's like, hey, you want to like have the red pill? Those guys like already receptive. They already see the promised land. You don't have to tell them what the promised land is. They already see it. Then you like say, okay, come join us in the promised land, and these are the projects. And then once like you saturated like the whole like innovators and early adopter like group, then the early majority group, those people are not very adventurous. They do by copycat. So once they see their neighbors, the early adopters like already drop off the grid. It's like, wait, why you like already? Why you haven't gone to work? It's just like I see you like gardening all day long. It's like, well, how do you do that? No, if you like saw the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, like that dude that actually asked Leonardo DiCaprio, it's like, how do you do it? It's like, I'll show you. He immediately quit his job, right? He joined like Leonardo DiCaprio. This is what the early majority crowd like does. And once it becomes the norm, right? At that point, I would say like the world would kind of like have shifted, and the late majority would just come along naturally. So it goes in like cycles now. It goes in iteration. So then I would even like think from that perspective, first step, we try to find like the projects, okay? And then after that, we try to find like the early adopters already seeing the vision and bringing them to like see these projects. And then once they like part of it, then we can like lend more energy. Then this group can lend more energy and kind of like build up more projects that solves like one of those 7 verticals in like various like cities or like territories. And once like infrastructure is up, then the early majority starts feeling safe enough. They will like want to jump on board. And this is how like the whole life cycle would actually be, I would say.
Yeah, but even if you contemplate, for instance, I'll put an example, like very old example, the Vietnam War, for instance, right?
Yes.
There are many things that really, many organizations, many real elevated thoughts, for a better world, for stop the war, for the right reasons, right? They were deep into that. However, when you look at the stats of these, even 70% of adopters of going against the war were just as a trend. You know what I mean? So where we coming from is so important. Where the center, your center of gravity is so important in why we want this change. We're gonna have, I mean, if you translate that to the world of NFTs today, right? There are many that they're going there for other reasons than others, right? That one they're going because one's going there because they want to trade, they want to make money, they want to do things, and there are others that really
Uh-huh.
want to get community, they really want to
Yes.
bring something new, and that is important. This your center of gravity, where it's coming.
Uh,
And that's why I'm saying that is very important. Even we do what we were talking about that I think is really important. Look, research what projects are in place already, that they're working, that they have a very interesting point of gravity, right? That is really resonate with that. And then
mhm,
out of those groups are local, right? And maybe
mhm.
these local projects are not at the same point of gravity, but it already have this idea that there's a red pill there, that there's another possibility that is not really rooted yet, but we can accelerate that. And
Yeah.
I think it is very important to take into account, because
Uh-huh.
otherwise we have a massive amount of people that they really are not coming from this real trying to change
Yeah,
what
yeah.
here.
See, the way I see it, history actually like has like shown a few times, a few cycles. Societies, new civilizations are not created by missionaries; they're created by missionaries. The missionaries will come in and actually come out with the gospels, like the religion, whatever it is, set the foundation right for the civilization. And then once like the civilization is thriving, we start having resources. The missionary, whatever they are, they'll naturally come along. But it's like really up to like the elders at that point of the civilization to make sure the cultural foundation is intact. You can't like really convert like the whole 100% to become like a missionary like civilization. That's not how it works. It's like the foundation
Process.
of faith needs to be there, strong enough, and then they can accommodate some mercenaries, whatever they are. Just let them be. It's like the space is like big enough, the abundance is like enough. You can accommodate like these mercenaries. Just let them be. You can't like really kind of go on a holy war jihad and just kill all those mercenaries. That's not the whole point. We kind of like trying to like transit the whole world over like to this new system and drop off like from the old system. So I think in that regard, it's like pretty concrete. And also, actually, like now I think about it, Michael, if we focus on just like groups, there's like starting new projects that don't really have a lot of followers yet, and actually like say, hey, we will bring you supporters. I think they would feel more receptive towards like saying, yeah, we definitely like want to jump on board, as opposed to if you talk to like say what Salvation Army or all those folks, these guys already have their resources now. Why do
That's
they
a
even
good
need?
idea. That's what we got to do right there.
These guys are aching for resources. We should like go and find them and like talk to them and say, hey,
Bring them to them.
Yeah,
we'll bring more resources to you.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of actually what I was trying to do initially. It's just hard to find enough people in general. Like from my experience, like it's like I'm a pretty dedicated person. Like when I have something that I'm interested in, I'll just commit until I do it and do it right. A lot of people have ideas and things that they want to be doing, and if it's too big for them, they'll just give up, or they'll just kind of be like, they'll have like a blackout period of like 3 months, and then they'll come back and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this again, um, which is totally fair. It's a lot harder than you might think to find people who are actively kind of doing this and making meaningful change to the point where they're not just kind of flaking off.
You
And
mean
you
on the
will
resources side, Michael? The people that like the people providing the resources are the ones flaking, or the founders of the projects?
founders of the projects.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. Yeah.
So,
So you
like,
can't be
even
attached to that, I guess. You can't be attached to their result, but we can still bring them the resources.
yeah, that's true, right?
Oh.
Like if you can like support people, like they will definitely take to it better, right? I think it's just people feeling lost, you know, and maybe with more people you can help. Like I don't know if people necessarily saw me or Communivate as their solution, because it wasn't real enough yet. Like there isn't enough of a community to make it feel like it's it.
I think
Yeah.
I think it comes also to this ego part. We need to drop it. Now we are working for collective. It doesn't happen from one person only, and not from some small group either. And we need to connect like with more people. So there won't be one person that saved the world. It will be the group actually connecting together.
Mm-hmm.
And we should also drop this part. Like let's not try to be the hero here alone, fighting alone. It's not this kind of game right now. We were taught this way, but it's a bullshit. We need to connect together with other people because we don't have enough skills. There are others who are complementing us too with all the energies. Astrology, we can also prove it, by the way. So I see it also as connecting all these people globally. There are so many different projects that actually go towards this change on this different levels, like in different areas. And they all, as Michael is mentioning, burnout or they're overwhelmed, they give up because it's too much. And they feel like we are not enough. We are so many across the globe, but we are just separated through all these different small projects, and everybody is trying to do themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Once we will connect them all, actually, there's gonna be pretty big group and very strong one with a lot of different areas of expertise. I'm pretty sure.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
on this part.
now that I'm thinking about it, I think that the hook that we might be looking for is kind of moving away from that mindset of individualism and getting people on board with working with other people for their success. Because that is something that I've honestly struggled with when I see people. Like there's an example. It made me kind of frustrated actually. It was this all-woman group trying to create this application for basically skill and service exchange, or just kind of donating skills and services to those who are in need, who have disabilities, whatever it might be. And I went up to them because like I know one of the people, and I was like, "Hey, I have Communivate. Feel free to use this platform, and I can tailor it to your needs. The only thing I ask is like if we're doing a donation-based thing, like I'd want to be paid like as much as possible for adding on to this. Like here I am, if I'm working with you guys and I'm already offering like 3 years of my kind of work here and doing things like that, anything that's new, like I'd want to have like I want to make sure that I'm being supported that way, because like you're already getting like at least like $20,000 worth of value here. Me just offering it because I want to support your cause, support what you're doing, and like they're all interested at first, and then they're like, oh no, never mind. Huh. So it's like I never heard from them ever again. And it's like you don't get people come up to you and say, hey, I'm willing to offer you pretty much 95% of what you're looking for and work with you to help achieve your goals. But and then they just ghost you, kind of like they're not interested because it's not like their perfect solution. They're not interested in collaborating. They just want what their vision is. And it's just, there's such a weird disconnect there. Like I don't understand it at all, but I think that might be what we need to target, because if we're having these people who are actively like they have lots of supporters, like they have this big TikTok account or whatever, it had like 40,000 followers or something. Like they're reaching out to these people, trying to do all this stuff. I don't even know if they continue doing it or whatever. I haven't heard anything about it. But if someone offers you that help and you don't take it, then that's the problem. Like you have people willing to work on solutions with you, but if they don't pass your purity tests, then it's not good enough. I think we need to kind of shift to the fact that like we need that collective effort, and we need to convince people that they also need that collective effort to succeed.
Michael,
but then it's not your vision anymore. It's like collective vision too. So you need to also switch it, allow others to join it and contribute, bring their ideas, maybe some modifications too, you know. So
well, no,
going
like
both ways.
The basis of any success like in terms of changing society requires collaboration. You're not going to be able to do it with any kind of individualism, whatever. And I'm not saying that like my ideas are your ideas. I'm saying that the absolute basis of what we have to do is collaborate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it.
Still, there's an element that I keep insisting today, that is not individualism, but is a personal point where you're coming from. So in order to collaborate, you need to collaborate with people that at some level internally have developed enough to be able to communicate in this language. I think the point that Aga was saying is really, really important in terms of, okay, this is my vision and this is how I do it and this is how I help. And somebody else come and I said, no, this is my vision and this is how I want to do it. This is not the way. How can you open yourself also other ways that you haven't even think about of collaborating? I think that is so important. And the shift is within you. And that is the part that is individual. There's an individual aspect that we form internally first in order to collaborate and to find our people. That is so important.
Definitely. First, self-awareness, self-development, like understanding, and then you can actually collaborate efficiently.
And if I could just add, I think that is what you guys just said is ideal. And Michael, to what you were saying, there's a couple things that might like relieve your frustration around those types of experiences. One is people are inherently skeptical, right? Like anytime a person introduces something, like if I just take me today, like let's get rid of the word economy, right? Everyone's like, wait a second, what is this guy talking about? Get rid of the word economy. That's crazy talk. We're naturally like our knee-jerk reaction is to like bat away things before allowing them in eventually. And the other thing is people don't always value what comes to them for free, right? Like if I hire a coach and I pay them $3,000 a month, I might value what they say more. And even if they're just leading me to my own answers, right? I might listen to that person more just because I paid them $3,000 a month versus if somebody offered to help me for free, for example.
But that's a belief, right? I like to challenge that belief personally. You know, like I am a coach and what I offer is for free, literally for free, because that is what I want to challenge, that people cannot commit to something that is for free because it's a lie for me.
I love it.
I didn't have the means, the financial means. I could not be a coach, or I could not participate in a workshop or a spiritual workshop training that I wanted to do. So then it's like, I want to challenge that because I was committed and I didn't have the means. If somebody will have brought me that, so I'm going to challenge. And me as a coach, I challenge it in terms of, okay, this is me. I am here. I am offering this. It's up to you if you want to take it or not. And there's people that they're taking. And I think we don't have to forget that it is that 10% that Michael was saying. Only really, really, really a 10% of the population of the world is thinking like we are thinking. It is the rest is oblivious in another mindset, not heart set, in a mindset that is completely different.
That's why this red pill is like quite a big topic. Because if you have taken this red pill, you wouldn't do this. Like you would appreciate actually something that you get for free, and you would not differentiate it. Actually, you would appreciate it even more because you got it from the heart. So
Speaking of free. Oh, sorry. Yep. Am I cutting you, Aga?
No. Please.
I borrowed my friend's backyard a few years ago. I was planting a whole bunch of kale, right? And somehow they grow really well in California. I pick like bags full like all the time, right? And then one day I went to the supermarket. I was like, one small bunch like this costs like $3. I was like, I've been getting like a whole bag of this like from my friend's backyard for like years, right? I was like, okay. And then this is mind-boggling, right? Why am I like paying so much for this? It's like, then I like start, actually like there's a lot of value over there. It's just not translating into economic terms. You have to understand value where it is, and actually don't have to think about funny sometimes.
Brian, maybe you would like to add something. I know you were texting here and we started to go with the flow so much.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird when you join a conversation halfway through anyway. So I've been just sort of trying to figure out where the conversation started as much as anything. Because, I mean, I noticed there's problems with terminology to begin with, just in terms of, you know, I don't know about economic inclusion, but financial inclusion has a definition, which is a kind of a World Banky kind of definition, which is to do with access to financial equality of access to financial services and banking the unbanked and all the rest of it. And it's also to do with tax collection, ultimately, when you boil it down, as much as it is to do with providing people with new opportunities. So it's clearly what you've been discussing is absolutely nothing to do with that official vision of inclusion at all.
Actually, you want to keep people away from banks,
right? So
and from the system.
I think
that to do with for bringing this.
I think economic inclusivity is a little bit of a misnomer in this case of what we're talking about, but it might be the closest kind of definition to what we're talking about as possible.
Yeah. But financial inclusion has an Investopedia definition. So I'm just saying that that's kind of it's maybe a kind of an aspect of how this conversation has been toing and froing between two polarities, one of which is the one that's endorsed by the status quo establishment and the other which is the antithesis of it. But yeah, hooks and storytelling, and this lovely quote by a French guy, the author of Le Petit Prince. This, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. And yeah, I didn't hear the 7 sort of points that were raised earlier on, but Gary was talking about this notion of a kind of a utopia or whatever. That what is it that we're really talking about in terms of, well, what might be the opposite of financial inclusion, but new models that we're all kind of coalescing around, and perhaps because of the fact that Web3 represents a kind of a paradigm shift in terms of how we might organize things at scale based on a much more decentralized approach. And I mean, I can't help thinking that ultimately it's all down to creating something, you know, like a re-employable kind of model, but based on a community being able to live without needing to access the grid, being a decentralized community, having its own renewable energy source, its own food production source, its own waste management source. Basically being able, is it possible for a community to set up shop and live without actually needing to use money? And maybe, you know, if they start producing surplus goods, for example, agricultural produce, then they could sell it to have funding to support other initiatives like medical expenses or whatever. But you know, if you have to have a kind of a central kind of point around which people, as a hook or a story, can get their heads around, are we really talking about creating a society, but firstly starting at the local level, whereby a community can live in the same kind of way that they would live today in a modern world, only in a completely decentralized way, where everything they need is at their fingertips? So I guess that's kind of my question or response.
I've came across like such models before when it was like traveling through like Israel. It's called the kibbutz. Like literally like this like community where like this group of people just go out there into the desert and start like building up a commune based around agriculture. And it proved to work. It was like highly successful. And now I would like say, building on top of what you just said. Well, we have like the modern like lifestyle. Can we like kind of like start like building a community base, or it's like using the same model, but actually like providing the kind of like same facilities that like the normal everyday person like has like around like the world? Would that even be possible? If that's possible, then like there's like really no reason why we shouldn't transition over and like say, okay, kind of like want to move from like say, well, I like the climate of Paris better than like the climate of like say Egypt. Can I just like go there like next month and just kind of like stick around, is join the community over there and like still like live my life? This is kind of like how I'm like seeing it, you know, just like what I'm like envisioning.
Actually, that's how I found Michael, because of my research into moneyless societies. And so I can say that it works, and they are actually growing quite nice community also on Discord there. Quite many people are involved, and they are sharing the knowledge how to start, because you need a ground, and then how to do everything, because we were not really taught how to farm or anything like basic, how to the survival skills. We don't really have them because everything is there. Of course, you can buy. So they're teaching all these skills and how to implement it, and they live without money, basically. Maybe something that they get from, there are some things that we still need to buy. So they work as a kind of foundation, or I don't know, NGO. So, well, but it's possible, and I totally agree that it should start from this local level. We're creating like many of them, and maybe that could be a layer where we are connected together. But the most important part is on the bottom, and this is decentralization. This is of the people. Like, we don't have to be on.
I mean,
probably some technology could be then adapted like on global scale, obviously, but we don't need money on this local level. Imagine a family. Do you exchange money every time you do something for each other? No. And that's how these communities work, actually, like based on these family values. And they can grow quite big. Of course, there will be some probably limitations, but then technology also, I believe, can support it. Even can be a city that is around this. And I believe that's possible without influence of money.
Yeah, so technically it's easily from like one cluster to the next, you know. It's like, I'm done like with this locale, I kind of like drive like 200 miles like to the next place, and I kind of like pop into like the next cluster, and it's like, okay, that's great, it's like still working.
I would love to do that. You know, you can go a bit here, a bit there, and it's like sort of unconditional. There is no contract. By the way, we were talking about it yesterday with Yolanda too. That we live in the world of contracts, while contracts are not the best for our souls. So trying to escape this whole system would be starting from getting rid of the contracts and actually accepting any outcome that might be. Because if we make a contract, then I expect from you, you expect from me. You know, it's not unconditional.
Deadline. In the contract, there's a deadline. It's all in front of us, right?
Yeah.
I think it's
we can talk about it the next time, because I see that we are almost 2 hours. or the centralization. Brian, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think it's all becoming increasingly important. I mean, you've got this whole thing with farmers and nitrogen going on, and it's in Sri Lanka, it's in Holland, it's all over the place. So we've got a food crisis, a supply chain crisis. You know, we've got rising inflation. If you believe the US, you know, they look at scenario planning for things like EMP strikes, and if there was an EMP strike over North America, you know, they've run the numbers, and they think that basically within several months, 90% of the US population would be dead without electricity. So it's kind of clearly that kind of centralized model doesn't work anymore. Anyway, you know, we're facing an energy crisis in this country, which means that the average person is going to be paying perhaps 4 or 5 times as much this winter for their for their gas supply. It's going to push the average family an extra sort of somewhere between £4,000 and £8,000 over and above or an existing cost of living crisis. So I kind of think it's kind of time to take, we're domesticated animals basically, and we need to start taking control of these aspects of our lives again.
Like Bayo Akomolafe said, we're still on the plantation. We are in the plantation with that system.
Right.
Wage serfs. That's what's the term. Wage serfs. You're kind of like slaves to like salary.
Right.
Yeah.
This whole thing is
If
about
you want
slavery,
to be,
isn't it?
if you decide maybe to cut off from it, then you are not anymore. This whole crisis was already like predicted, let's say, because it's part of the plan to put us in this illusion that we don't have energy, that we don't have food. Actually, my ex is a farmer, and he was telling me it's like in every country, farmers are blocked from actually producing more, that they had limits on the production. And of course, we have waste of the food. We are aware of it. We just mention it. And let's think about it if it's really true, or there is some sort of illusion to put us in this low vibration and like lack and fear of not having it. Same with energy. They were blocking. Bye. Thank you. They were blocking us from
scarcity. Oh, it's okay. He's gone.
Yeah, they were blocking us from solar energy, implementing it, etc. So we don't become independent. Yeah, congratulations! I have a balcony, and they are actually not allowing me to put any solar panels in here, and of course not to distribute this energy anywhere. That's part of the manipulation, and we
artificial scarcity. That's what it is.
Stand
and
up
that's
for
the economy. That's in economics. Economics creates scarcity, supply and demand.
But listen. I look for the root of economy, and actually, economy coming from the Greek. It says it means household management, thrift. It's interesting, right? What is the root, the etymological aspect of the word? It is the house.
Confirmation of what we said.
How we're going to build, right?
Building a house.
Building a house. Building
a house with gifts. Building a house with gifts.
It's like I think like part of the reason why I was able to kind of even hack up the whole solution, kind of like do like a whole bunch of stuff off the grid was like, part of it is because of like the engineering like background, and the other part of it was like in the military for 2.5 years. So like literally like for survival, I'm like pretty okay with it. So in that essence, it's kind of like had like fully equipped to just drop off the grid if I wanted to. So I guess like based on what you just said, like the whole thing being like a domesticated animal, it's like this is like what I'm like starting to see more and more. It's like it's becoming like really bad. Humans are becoming domesticated.
But Gary, I would love to have one of these days a meeting like this, with all of us, for you to tell us the whole story and how to be able to go off the grid. Because there's, for instance, in Spain, that I'm moving back to Spain, it is not so possible to live in the car. For instance, against the law, right?
You cannot have your freedom, of course.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
I would love for you to tell us, at least I want to know about your story, about what you needed to go through and how your ideas came through as well. It would be nice because probably we're going to see a lot of interesting aspects for even our community, right? So I think it would be great.
Go check out the southwestern part of like Portugal. That's like where all the nomads are hanging out at right now.
And we are going to build some community too.
He's coming. He's coming.
Exactly.
Coming here.
Oh, what? Sorry, you got cut off just now.
No, I'm just saying that Portugal is so close from where I live that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I know there's like a lot of farming communes over there as well. I was like passing through. I was like met up with like this German guy who was like hop off the bus or literally hiking like 40 kilometers to like the farming commune. It's like, great, go for it.
Yeah, there's so many places. We just need to find them, connect them.
Mhm.
Find them, connect them. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Then
Yeah,
they
it's not
kinda-
like we are starting from zero, and I feel like this is the moment that like rather we start to connect to each other, we start to
Yeah.
find each other because probably of our vibrations right now. But I don't feel like, you know, we are the only ones thinking about it, figuring out. There are so many, and it's just, hey, where are you? I'm gonna find you.
when I was
I mean, the way that we might be able to add value is because we're ahead of the curve in terms of this whole Web3 thing. You know, I mean, Gary, it sounds like you know a lot more about the actual realities of off-grid living. Well, at least you do compared to me. But you also know about DAOs. I mean, do you think there would be a way of putting together a sophisticated blueprint, not for living in a car, but for actually, you know, living in a dome home with wind power and potentially hydropower and solar power and proper waste management and electricity and Wi-Fi and everything else that you wanted, but all totally off grid.
I came across a few prototypes, man. It's like when I was upstate, like north of Minnesota, I like went to this farm. It's like fully off the grid. Oh my god, it's like producing like so much. It's like empower, like kind of like it's pushing so much value into the community. It's just like mind blowing. It's like called Round River Farms. I'll send you guys like the link later. And like their whole household is all powered by solar panels. Their tractor is like full electric. So I know like David, who like operates it, is like in the process of buying a car that's like solar charged. So once it gets to that point, like they're no longer on like the grid. I think the only thing they really need to like use money for is to pay the government taxes for the use of the land.
Yeah.
And presumably he would be open to sharing some of that knowledge with
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Yes. There's like Abhinav is like trying to set up a cluster in like India right now with like the land that his family has that they're not really using. So I'm like trying to like get David in as an advisor to like help set up the economics over there too. And then like once we have like a working model up, because like David, like the way he practices like farming, he doesn't even use fertilizer, right? It's like 100% like the permaculture, which is like the philosophy that Dr. Fukuoka from Japan was like teaching. So I think like if this model can scale, then technically the whole world would just transition over there because like suddenly food becomes like commonly accessible to people.
Could it be scaled with the help of a DAO, for example, or a DAO of DAOs?
Yeah, I believe it's possible. I think it's possible. I've been like experimenting with DAOs. I think it's definitely possible.
I would play with this moneyless society too. I'm sending you Discord channel. They also have a couple of nice resources there. How to everything basically that we forgot how to do, and maybe catching up with them and talking about all this stuff like continuation. If that would be possible to make this sort of DAO of DAOs.
Yes.
One thing I'd say is that if they hate Bitcoin, they would really hate something like this.
But we don't need to use Bitcoin, maybe.
No. I just mean that what Bitcoin represents is people taking their sovereignty back, but a much more authentic way of taking sovereignty back is to move to a.
One condition, though, guys, we don't attach it to any crypto that is connected to fiat money, to the system. If we create something, then there is separate from what exists so far. Because you can exchange it, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ideal would be to try and create something that once it's set up doesn't require money for people to survive comfortably in that environment.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
But if you could sell some of your surplus agricultural produce, then you could sell it into a crypto-based economy. Would be, fine. I mean, I don't think there's any reason why those kind of communities couldn't have access to financial things that exist beyond their borders.
Yeah, that's true. It's like how the Amish works and like how the kibbutz work. No? Makes sense.
Yeah, I think these are just you know, like communes and all the rest of it. These things have been around for ages, and it's just a question of contemporizing them and applying some of the gifts of these new technologies that we're all learning about at the moment.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Okay.
you don't look
Let's. Yes, I'm super convinced, but I'm like half an hour late for another meeting, and I don't feel. I feel a little bit bad too. I already texted the guy that I will be late.
Oh,
He said that he still has some time, but I would love to continue this. Let's.
Yeah, we can conclude for today, and with all these takeaways that we have, like it was too much, like many beautiful points coming up, and everybody sharing their own beliefs, and you know how things shaped up was really beautiful.
I shared on Discord also link to our docs. We can put there like research that we are making for the moment. Let's try with docs. Maybe that will be another option. I will drop it maybe also on LinkedIn.
I just wanted to say that I really like Gary's idea about connecting to projects that are already in motion, coming up with some sort of 7, doesn't have to be the ones that I mentioned, but some sort of like framework for where we could organize these projects and connecting to what's already been created. I think that that's super poignant, powerful.
Yeah.
I think we are agreed on this one, that it's about connecting us and cooperation among all these communities that take action. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy that we got to these conclusions and we can start also acting, doing something from this research. I'm also happy that Michael brought something from, like, let's say Web 2 space, because we are all so much in Web 3 that we are maybe not following what's happening there. And this way we can have a wider vision of all of it. So thank you so much and have a nice day, evening, afternoon, and see you soon again.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bless you.
Bye.
Much love.
Bye.